They played the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
played the mash.
During 15th century Europe, there lived a person named Dracula. He practiced sorcery in order to create a bad world filled with evil. Jaina, I can't see it anymore. Oh, the film, it's got our attention. He began taking over the continent of Europe, changing countries from good to bad. The good people of Europe tried to fight off Dracula, but no one was able to survive. Geez, that's messed up. Finally, the Belmont family was summoned to battle Dracula's vile forces. The Belmont family had a long history of fighting evil. The townspeople became afraid of the Belmont's superhuman power and asked them to leave the country. Fortunately, the people found a mighty Belmont called Trevor. Sorry, I'm flubbing through this. The curse of Dracula has begun. The fate of Europe lies with Trevor. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. I'm finally getting around to Castlevania 3, which it feels like Castlevania 2 wasn't so long ago until I remember that was bad sequel month. That was before I did Facecam. In fact, both Castlevania games are. So I wanted to do something special this Halloween and play Castlevania 3. And Jaina decided to join me for it. Yeah, that intro cutscene is very poorly translated, but at least it's some prelude of some kind. Anyway, we start the game off and we get to name our character, which is completely random because they very much told us in the intro that we are Trevor Belmont. That's our name. Gina's in a bitey mood today. I don't know what it is, but she's now looking at my tie. I think she wants to bite it. Or the wires, that's definitely it. There's no cases in this, but I'll just go ahead and name us what we are. We're Tre. Oh man, that just sends chills down my spine. I absolutely love how this game opens. You have this epic intro little bit of Trevor kneeling at the statue, and then he gets up. And this track is one of my favorite level 1 tracks in any video game. I kid you not. I believe this track is called like The Beginning or something, which is appropriate because this game is actually a prequel to Simon Belmont's Adventures. But as you can just tell from the UI and everything, this game is just like the first Castlevania, level-to-level basis. As you can see, we're on one screen 2 over there. We've got sub-weapons and hearts and everything like the first Castlevania game, which is great. This game tries to expand a bit on the first Castlevania with some elements that I'll get into shortly. But I'm just so happy to have this format back, period. Don't get me wrong, Castlevania 2, it's got its merits, and it could certainly be, you could certainly use that formula to make an amazing game. I mean, an adventure game where you buy stuff, that's nothing new. But I feel like this just works so well for Castlevania as like an action-adventure platformer with tons of difficult points in the game and all that. Like, Castlevania was known for its difficulty back then, and 2 didn't really have that moment like the hallway in level 5 of the original game, where it's like, oh, this part's super hard, you gotta get past this. But I'm going on long enough about the old games. Let's talk a bit about this new one. So, we have a lot of returning elements. I do like how they didn't just rip a lot of them from the original game, so because we are playing as different Belmont, we have a different sprite. As you see, the Medusa heads have a different sprite. Like, there's a lot of effort put into this game in a lot of different places. The significance of this story taking place prior to Simon Belmont's adventures is really just because, well, there was multiple endings of the last game, one of which he died in, so it's kind of difficult to continue that whole story. So, I guess they just wanted to go back. Although this is very much like the first game, you think I would just adore this in every way, I would play it way more than the first game. There are a few reasons I don't play this game as much as I do the first. I still think it's a great game, maybe even better than the first for some people, but I'm not as well acquainted with a lot of the game's mechanics, and there's a couple reasons why. So, first boss we have here is this, like, horned skeleton guy. And he might be one of the easiest bosses in any Castlevania game, I'm gonna be honest. Even the bat was kinda hard to hit at some points, but that was just, wow. Man, that was a lot of hearts I had left over. So, this is one of the important new changes in Castlevania 3, something I love, and something I don't really like about it. There are multiple pathways. So, here we could either go down or up. I'm going to go up, for the sake of showing off this level up here. And, on one hand, it means the game's a lot bigger, it encourages multiple playthroughs, all that good stuff. But on the other hand, I know this game way less than I do the original, because I don't want to practice every different route. There's way more levels as is, just going from the beginning to end. And you know, that's a good thing game design-wise, but for me, I think having a shorter game isn't by any means a massive issue. Especially when the game makes up for it by being very challenging. A lot of people say, oh, well, old game developers were real sleazy because they just made the game hard to make up for the lack of length. But I feel like that's kind of just how game design worked back then, and there's some appeal to it. Who knows, I could be wrong about all this, but that's just how I feel about Castlevania 1 compared to 3. Don't get me wrong, I still think this game is one of the best NES games there is. Definitely better than 2, and worth your time. The soundtrack is once again great. I mean, most Castlevanias have a pretty great soundtrack, even 2, which didn't really have levels. This stage has a lot of ascending stairs and gears and such, and which means you gotta stay alert for falling down pits and Medusa heads knocking you into said pits. I do think the clock tower aesthetic is very unique and nice. It's new for Castlevania. We haven't had a stage like this, at least not yet. Over here we have the boss. Is this guy throwing knives at us? Hey, 2 can play that game. Ah. Hey, buddy, I'm this way. You're going the wrong way, pal. Alright, that works. Notice how the boss didn't, like, burst into flames or explode or anything. This is important. Well, hello there.
My name is Grant. I dreamed I was turned into a ghost. Please take me with you. My family was killed by Dracula.
What will you do? Sure, you can come with us, Grant.
I can help you a lot because I'm very fast.
Very straight to the point. I like it. So the building is starting to collapse, so we gotta head back the way we came. And yes, I do mean that. We have to walk back the way we came, through the same level over again, just backwards now. But yeah, we have Grant with us here now, and we can actually, as soon as we start playing, if we hit select, which didn't do anything in Castlevania prior to this, we will turn into a second character. So now we are Grant. And there are a few things different about Grant. He has a higher jump, he has this knife attack which doesn't reach as long or do as much damage. That's kind of his weakness. But he can climb on walls and on ceilings, as you can see. And he can control his jump in midair. Look at that. So that's pretty much Grant. I don't like him as much as the Belmont just because of the dinky sword attack. It's not very useful. But it is kind of fast, I suppose.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
I want a mod of this game where they replace Grant's sprite with Spider-Man.